Hello everybody and welcome back. Tonight we go to the northeast of England again. It's a very busy area is the northeast. And this is a town called Springwell near Washington. And it's a young boy who sees a peeping gorilla. And I was contacted by a gentleman who asked me if I had any accounts in the Springwell area, as something happened when he was younger that up until now he had no explanation for. A hairy gorilla-like creature in an English garden is not something this gentleman thought other people had seen too. I advised him there are many witnesses, and I would happily share his account in the hope somebody in the area saw something similar before this event or after, or anyone in the UK who has seen a similar type of creature. This is the gentleman's account in his own words. Deborah, do you have any accounts in the Springwell area in the northeast? The reason I ask is when I was younger, around 12 or 13, I would sleep over at my grandparents' a lot during the weekends and school holidays. And one night when I was staying over, I saw what looked like a gorilla's head peeking out from behind a tree and looking through the trees outside my window. I think it was watching me in bed, and I remember being so scared I hid under the covers for the rest of the night. If I had to describe it, I would say the face was kind of just looked like a gorilla. With not much hair on the face, this thing had a short stubby nose and massive eyes that looked black, but it was dark, so I'm not sure if there was any colour to them in a different light. The hair around the face and head looked dark brown or black. I only really saw the head peeping round the tree before I made sense of what was happening, and I hid. I used to spend every free moment at my grandparents' home in Springwell village and in the northeast before this happened. And I can remember that night well. Although I was fairly young at the time, I've never forgotten it. I'd stayed up late watching TV with my grandparents. When I finally did go to bed, I was lying there in my bed and I did not have the curtains closed. I never had them closed. I was just lying there in my bed and I moved around a little bit to get comfy. And I lay on my back looking out of the window. And I was just looking out of the window thinking, and all I could see was the conifer trees my granddad had planted a few years before. As I lay looking out the window, I noticed two eyes looking straight at me. And right away I was scared. So I kept looking, and then my eyes adjusted to the surrounding trees and the shadow. And I noticed what looked like a gorilla's face peeking through the trees, watching me. Being gripped by fear, I hid under the blanket until I fell asleep. And as I said, the face was kind of just looked like a gorilla, with not much hair on it, not much hair on the face. It had a short, stubby nose and really big eyes that looked black. And the hair around the face and head looked dark brown or black. I only really saw the head of this thing before I hid. But this wasn't the only strange thing that happened there. The second account happened about 10 years after I'd seen the gorilla face, and I was about 22 years old by then. By now my grandparents had moved not too far away, but they were still in the same area. They just moved house a couple of streets away. They moved to Nook in Felling, Washington. And I was sleeping over to look after my nana due to my grandfather being in hospital. I had a fold-out bed to sleep on in the sitting room, and I would set up the bed in the middle of the floor when I was going to sleep there for the night. I always sleep with the windows open because I have trouble sleeping without background sounds. I woke in the middle of the night at around 2 or 3 a.m. to what I can only describe as a woman screaming like she'd been murdered. I mean, it made the hair on my neck stand up on end. It was so bad. And then it stopped, just like that. And I never heard a sound. Nobody reported an attack, and none of the neighbours mentioned anything. I looked up different animal calls and sounds like foxes and deer and badgers, trying to explain the sound away, and I could not find anything similar. It doesn't match any native sounds that I can think of. Now, Springwell is situated between two important rivers in the northeast, both of which are estuaries, and it's surrounded by a greenbelt and nature reserve. Springwell's a small town, and it's kind of like a lot of the towns that we get the reports from, it's surrounded by open countryside, fields and greenbelt and woods. So the River Tyne estuary and the River Wear estuary are natural wildlife corridors out to the coast. And also we've got the Clean and Agate accounts there. They're just a short walk away from these sightings. So it's an ideal area. There are multiple accounts in the northeast, and I'll include a link to the map so that you can look them up and have a look at them yourself. But yeah, that's the sighting, and I'm incredibly grateful for him coming forward and sharing it with me. I know it's not easy to do, but people are doing it, and I, for one, am incredibly grateful. So until next time, I'll bring you another account. Good night.